Welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specializing in the wedding industry. Each week, we'll explore the strategies, stories, and insider tips that help wedding professionals thrive. You'll hear solo episodes filled with actual advice for social media and inspiring conversations with esteemed wedding industry guests. Thank you for tuning in and letting this podcast be a part of your day. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. If you are new here, I want to give you a big, warm welcome. My name is Nina Adio, and I am passionate about all things wedding industry and business marketing. And today we have a topic that I actually have never covered on the podcast before. Over 150 episodes, right? And we've never spoken about ads on TikTok. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so we had to bring in the TikTok ads goat for the wedding industry, right? The greatest of all time. We're bringing in Mark Chapman from the I Do Society. So once I started getting involved with I Do Wedding Marketing and starting to network and meet other wedding service providers, it was Brian Lawrence from Brian Lawrence Weddings, he does websites and SEO, who mentioned Mark Chapman to me. He was like, well, he's the I Do Society. I'm I Do Wedding Marketing, and Mark is the I Do Society. So that was when I first got introduced to Mark, and it was through working an event with Brian, the Inclusive Wedding Summit, that I actually had the opportunity to get to know and work with Mark myself. What I didn't know was Mark's own origin story, which was having his own family's wedding business and getting ghosted or having these meetings with couples that didn't work out is what brought him to learning about ads. So somebody had mentioned Google Ads and it struck a chord with him and he dug in and got to work. So I think we all can relate to when we find that thing we love, you know, when you find something that you just flow in and you go down the rabbit hole. That is Mark with ads, and he found success using ads to convert the right couples and wanted to bring it to more wedding industry professionals. And that's what's brought Mark to being the president of the I Do Society. They have a big and wonderful team, and they specialize in Meta ads, Google ads, but also TikTok ads. And that is what I thought was really different from other ad services and was able to offer something we haven't done here on the show, which is talking about TikTok ads. So I know you're going to love Mark because I love Mark. So let's just go ahead and bring him on. Mark, thank you so much for being here. Where are you coming from today?
It is all my pleasure. I am in California today, in the middle of the state, a little town called Mammoth Lakes. It's a little mountain town, 5 hours north of LA.
Oh, so do you do a lot of outdoor sports and activities?
Yes, I'm a huge snowboarder.
Yeah.
There's a ski resort here, and I literally, in the winter, I snowboard every day. So it's my thing. It's my happy place.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Mark, you know, when I was reading your bio and sharing about you and about your family's wedding business, I didn't realize that was where you started, that your wedding origin story was being within the industry. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was a wedding photographer with my sister, and we were really enjoying it. And this was like 2007 to 2010. And at the time, you know, we were doing like Chamber of Commerce and networking in the BNI groups and doing all this like networking to get clients for our business. And what ended up happening was I just really got burnt out, and I was like really tired because it was 7 days a week and weekends were really long and amazing, of course, but it's really challenging. And this woman that I met in the Chamber of Commerce had like talked about her Google ads, and she was like having success with it. And I was like, well, that's a bunch of baloney. That's crap. But I did end up trying it out, and I figured it out for our own business. And I'll never forget that first moment when the phone rang and someone's like, I found you on Google. And like, it changed the game for me because I got to stop doing all the networking things. Not that those networking things are bad. It's just for me at that time, it wasn't the right fit. So got to stop doing the networking things because advertising was working for our business. And it became something that I helped other people in the industry with as a side hustle. And then fast forward 15 years later, it's the I Do Society, and it's an agency that's focused exclusively on advertising and the wedding industry. And that's all we do.
Fantastic. Now, is your sister now part of the society? Is she still doing
She's
photography?
still doing photography. Yeah.
Because yeah,
Yeah.
I would be bummed because I was like, look, if you're my bro, you seem like you'd be the best brother, and I would want to go into business with you, and then you fly the coop.
I know, I know, I know. It's all good though. We get along so well, but it's, working with family, like
Yeah,
there's just so many other layers to it that like, and we are incredibly good friends, and it's been great to maintain that because we
yeah.
don't work together.
Now you can just help her with her ads instead of her going, Mark doesn't want to go to another networking event.
Exactly, exactly. And her and I are both high achievers, and that sounds weird to say, but we're pretty intense people, and
Yeah,
so like it's good to have one intense person in a company.
yeah. Guess that's why I work alone, right? It's just
Yeah, exactly. She's
so,
amazing.
Mark, is TikTok still a thing?
TikTok's still a thing, right? There was a quick moment where it went down and then it came back up less than 24 hours later. I think the powers that be, and we won't get into politics, but the powers that be are probably going to keep TikTok around. Even whatever happens with TikTok, I think TikTok has changed the game in terms of organic social media as well as paid ads because short form video really took center stage as TikTok became more popular. So whether it goes away, which it probably won't, or stays, short form video is absolutely incredible, and it has been a big deal.
So, why is TikTok so good for ads?
TikTok is so good for ads because in the wedding industry, all of us are selling some sort of experience or some sort of service. And TikTok and short form video allow you to build so much trust and so much excitement for what you do by using a quick video that may share like behind the scenes info, and I'm doing air quotes, or help people get to know you as a human, especially if you are a DJ or a photographer or an officiant. Knowing who you are as a human is super important for anyone to decide that they want to contact you and have you at the most important day of their life. And TikTok and short form video is very organic and natural, a little bit more organic and natural and nitty gritty than Instagram. And so it's such a powerful tool for building that trust.
It's interesting because that's been my struggle with TikTok. Because on Instagram, I can control the organic marketing more
Yeah.
because there's a lot more tools for finding locations and followers, and it's been a
Yeah.
really different playing field for me. You mentioned the behind the scenes footage and things like that. So if we're creating ads on TikTok, should it be face forward content?
Face forward ads work really well on TikTok. One example is we have a DJ who's out here in California, and he is kind of sharing his journey as a DJ and all the problems he solved for his couples, all the crazy things that have happened at weddings that he was able to share the story and then share how he overcame the story. And so it's really cool because instantly when he shares this, you see his face, you hear how he is an expert because he overcame a sticky situation, and you just have this trust for him. And I should say though that like TikTok ads are not something where you spend a bunch of money on it and you expect to have this perfect relationship between I spent $200 and I got 10 leads. It doesn't really work like that because people aren't searching on TikTok necessarily like they are more on Instagram or more on Google, of course. But it does help if you're trying to reach your ideal couple to make sure that that couple sees you and knows you and starts to fall in love with you.
So on TikTok, like I said, we have the differences with Instagram and
Yeah.
TikTok. If somebody listening was like, no, absolutely not, I do not want my face, what are there other options for them that would still convert?
Definitely. Anything where you are presenting to a couple, um, sort of like I'm going to use the phrase behind the scenes or educational content. It doesn't have to be your face. In particular, like, or for venues, right? You could do, if you're a venue, you do this like 5 seconds of the venue before it's decorated, then 5 seconds after it's decorated. Anything behind the scenes or before and after that shows a couple what you do and how incredible you are is perfectly acceptable if you're not into putting your face on there.
That's a good example, nice and like tangible. I think we all
Yeah.
can have some sort of before and after with what we do. Even if you're a limo, I try to think of all the examples and someone who's going to try to refute what I say. So I'm thinking someone go,
Yeah.
well, what
Yeah.
about me? I'm a limo company. It's like do before the car wash and after then, or what it looks like
Absolutely.
after the car comes back and what it looks like
Yes.
pristine and ready to go. There's still
Yeah.
things we could do.
That's such a great idea. Like, especially if you had like a really messy situation, like, okay, that sucks, but like, let's turn this into content for a great ad that shows just how incredible you are, how much you care about your job.
You know what
I
I
love
would
that.
love to see? You would have to like set it up, but have like your three different limo drivers and time them changing a tire to show how quick they can do it and like nothing's gonna
See?
get them off true
Exactly.
schedule.
Exactly. Nothing's gonna get your wedding off schedule because our limo drivers change tires in 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's such a great idea.
So you know what people love about meta ads is the targeting. Is
Yeah.
that something you can do on TikTok?
TikTok is a little bit more broad where this is such a great like plug for meta ads because it's super specific. TikTok doesn't let you get as specific in your targeting. But the trade-off is this is that on TikTok, when you run ads, it's actually incredibly cheap right now because everyone in the wedding industry is like over it. They're afraid of it. They spent a lot of time justifiably on Meta. And so TikTok clicks are really cheap. And so even though your targeting is not as tight as Meta, you end up with the same results because like you're casting a wider net, but you're paying like 30 cents a click instead of like $1.50 a click.
Okay, so can you break that down for us in a more, let's say, the lowest end of what daily ad spend on Meta should be versus
Yeah.
TikTok? What would that look like?
I'm really glad you asked that question because there's another
Okay.
like plot twist to this. On TikTok, their minimum budget per day that they will allow you to put is $20 per day. And that equals about $600 per month. And so if you don't have $600 a month, you actually cannot advertise on TikTok. Whereas on Meta, you could do $1 a day or $2 a day and you can get really low with your budget, but TikTok does have a higher budget requirement.
Okay. And is what would you say the minimum to get good quality traction and results for
Yeah.
Meta would be, just so we can compare the $20 versus what you think we should start at Meta?
We from doing this for years and years and years and seeing people try to spend $5 a day and not really getting the volume they need, we know that about a $500 a month budget on Meta ads is really, really important for the reason that couples need to see you in multiple places multiple times. We live in what I call an attention economy. It was a phrase I heard a couple weeks ago. The more attention your business gets, the more sales you have. It's just how it works in today's economy. It's crazy because like it's very different than 5 or 10 years ago, but in this attention economy, it's all about being seen in multiple places multiple times. And if you do a $2 a day Meta ads budget, you're going to reach some people, but they're going to see you once and they're not going to see you multiple times and they're not going to remember you. And brides on average, or couples on average, I should say, investigate 5 different businesses per category to plan their wedding. And so like if you're seen once and someone clicks on your ad and you're like, oh, I spent this money on Meta, and they nothing happened, it's because you actually didn't do your job correctly based on what the audience needs to see. And it's kind of hard to accept that because I think a lot of people want to like boost a post and spend $10 and feel good about it. But I promise you, it doesn't work to really get lots of new business for you if you don't spend at least $500 a month or $600 a month on TikTok.
I think that's really where the word strategy comes in, right? You're not playing with ads, you're doing an ad strategy, which is
Yeah,
designed for results. And
I
so
love that. Yep.
for, let's say $100 difference in a month between the two, I think it's kind of worth checking out both and seeing what your difference is going to be
Yeah.
in those conversions. Do you have a lot of clients who go all in and do Meta, TikTok, and Google?
We do. Typically folks that end up working with us as an agency are more, they have a budget and they have a plan for what they want to do with advertising. It isn't a DIY scenario, which is perfect. DIY is like perfectly fine. But in our experience in our world, most of the people we work with like do go in on multiple platforms because they're of the mindset that I know that I only have so many referrals and so many leads that I can get organically, and I am ready to step up my business and take it to the next level. And therefore, to do it correctly, you need to invest a little bit of money, a little bit of time, and get the word out there so that couples do see you in multiple places, multiple times, which means being shown on Google and Meta or Google and TikTok or all three if you can. I know that can be, so that can sound overwhelming to folks, but with the right strategy, and I'm glad you brought that word into it, to make sure that the couples know what makes you different and they see you again and again. It's like it's not, I hate the word guarantee, but like, listen, if you're a good business and you offer something great and people see you on the internet 10 times in a month, they're like, oh, I'm gonna call that company.
Yeah. And, I think well, I'm in a unique position. I do organic social media marketing. And so when my clients decide to invest in ads, it's not with me. So I get to
Yep.
see the differences between a good niche ads agency or even a bad niche, agency. That's happened. I've seen
Yeah.
where they're working with agencies who don't know anything. And I've seen when they're working just on their own boosting, right? And
Yep.
that's why I bring in the word strategies, because I found
Yep.
that these reputable ads agencies, such as yourself and some others, they have a strategy. We're doing wedding
Yep.
industry clients all day long. So you're not paying for guesswork. You're
Yep.
paying, for more of that. We don't like to use guaranteed, but it kind of is. It is inevitable that through this you will
Yeah.
get at least one ad, which is already one conversion, which is already, a pretty huge return on investment when you come into wedding services.
And you planted two seeds there I want to talk
Okay,
about too,
yeah.
because as an organic social media expert, when people click on see your ads, they don't always click on the ad, go to your website. A lot of the times, especially on Instagram, they click on your Instagram handle and they go to your profile. And if you don't have someone like Nina who's doing an incredible job for your Instagram profile, they may feel like, this company isn't for me. But if they see incredible things in your Instagram profile, they may have started their journey by clicking on the ad, but they get to Instagram and you have really great content there, or maybe you have links in your profile and a really good description, and they end up on your website from the links on your profile or from your content because their journey isn't perfectly linear. That's just not how people shop, and that's okay. So I wanted to acknowledge that your organic social media and your ads play together, and they're so important together because of how that works.
Mark, I have to say, what I like about that is then it becomes my lead and not yours. I
Exactly. No,
do
this
it
is so true.
in
This
the
is so true.
analytics.
Yes. Yeah. You're welcome. Just kidding. But it can't be done. It can't, one can't be bad. They both have to be good, you know?
So on TikTok, it's a little different because you don't have to have a profile to do the
Good
ads. Is
point.
that
Yep.
correct?
That is a
So
very good
how
point.
does that affect things? And do you recommend your clients create TikTok profiles for that reason?
I do, if you can and you can handle it, because I know again, I hear everyone is so exhausted from just keeping up with like Instagram and everything else going on. The best scenario is that you do have a TikTok profile that does have some content on it. But that doesn't mean that you can't get great results if you don't, because TikTok really realized how Meta sort of screwed things up or sort of became this monster that they didn't intend to become, where it's like you have to have this profile. So TikTok's like, we'll take your money. You don't have to have a profile. We won't even let people click over there. And if you do have a good strategy and a good video that's very compelling, people will click on the learn more button on your TikTok ad and visit your website.
Can the ads we're doing on Meta work the same video for TikTok?
They can. Yeah, a lot of times we have folks create one video and it runs on Meta and it runs on TikTok as well. One thing about TikTok is that it is a little bit like more behind the scenes, where Instagram is a little bit more polished. And I think interestingly, people expect those two different experiences on the platforms. So in an ideal world, you would have separate assets or separate videos for each. But honestly, like if you are a good business and you have a good offer or a good video, it doesn't really matter all that much.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Right now, we're at a time in the industry where people don't really know what 2026 is going to look like. They're
Yep.
not sure financially in terms of cost and everything what it's going to look like. So it's not even just about bookings, it's about the cost of services too. And so people may be feeling like they can't invest in ads right now or that they
Yep.
shouldn't. Can you address that a bit?
100%. In the recession of 2008, I was in business as a photographer and I was learning ads. And what I learned then was a lesson that I got to learn and repeat during COVID. And that was in times of economic uncertainty, when you promote an irresistible offer, you will have results. If you don't, if you just promote, oh, we have a great service experience, or we're better than so and so because of our customer service, like it's not going to get you anything. Don't advertise. In times now, like right now, when people are just kind of waiting to see what happens, or people have lost their jobs, or something's going on, it is really important that your strategy with advertising be focused on something that is an irresistible offer. And that doesn't have to be a discount. It can be something that you already do for couples that you like wrap into your packages, but you separate it out and you create it as an offer and you sell it as an offer. It doesn't have to be a discount, it doesn't have to be spammy or tacky. It's just you're presenting folks with the opportunity to take a step to get to know you quicker than just saying you have a good customer service experience, which is not very motivating.
Do you have an example of how a wedding professional can take what they do and make it an irresistible offer?
Yep. And these examples are not going to be perfect for everyone, but like we'll start with the venue. Maybe you offer the venue space to the couple the night before, so for rehearsal or getting things sorted out, and you just do that normally. But you could repackage that and you could say, hey, we're going to add on, you can come to the venue the night before at no extra cost. And this is worth $3,000 because we're turning away other weddings. It's not the perfect way to say it, but for the sake of clarity of the offer. Right. So you're going to do it anyway. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't lose anything, but you get to package that as something of value to the couple to make sure that their wedding day is really spectacular. Does that make sense? Or like,
Yeah, and I think what it's making me think of, we were both participants in the Inclusive Wedding Summit, and on it, Alan Berg spoke about taking your reviews, putting them into ChatGPT or an AI service, and
yeah.
asking them to pull out the similarities of the common praises. And Alan's actually going to be on the show soon too, talking
Awesome.
about that in depth. But I think what you really could do is combine that with what you're saying and kind of ask it to pull out what are the irresistible features here?
Yeah.
What are the things that people are saying we do great? And then you turn that into your irresistible offer. So it's something you're already
That's
doing,
such a great. Yeah.
Alan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yay, Chat GPT. Yay,
Yeah.
Alan. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's so powerful. I love that. Because there are going to be things, especially if you have a solid number of reviews that people say repeatedly, and they're going to say, like, hey, someone went above and beyond by doing such and such. And like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
turn it into an offer.
Yeah, and if you don't have, that large pool of reviews, just kind of just do a brain dump of what you do, right? And your experiences or look at other ads. Where do you get your inspiration as far as content goes?
I love TikTok. I am a
Yeah.
middle-aged man and I am a strange bird because I really love TikTok. So I watch trends on like what's going on. And if you are not a TikTok person and you're thinking about TikTok ads because you understand that brides and couples are there, they really are in increasing numbers, just go on there and look at videos and stuff. You'll see that there are these like video trends that happen on TikTok, like audio clips that get turned into memes and things like that. And if you just spend like 15 minutes on the platform, you'll start to see like, oh, like there are trends here. And turning those trends into content for your own business is not actually all that hard. You do it once and you're like, okay, now I figured out how to do this. And then that creates sort of a platform for you to like continue forward from. You check in once in a while. What's trending? Okay, we're going to do it for our business.
Yeah, you need to give us a TikTok trend like
Or it could be a
email
whole
blast or
conversation.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Be a whole thing.
Do you have a favorite recent trend, or maybe not recent trend that you saw on
Um,
TikTok?
Absolutely. So this is probably not actually. I did this for my team. So like you can use ChatGPT to turn people into animals, or in our case, like I love the Muppets. And actually, you and I talked about this. So I was like, "Hey, ChatGPT, here's headshots of all of my team members. Would you put a photo together of us as Muppets?" And so like that was really fun. And because it got in our business, it got people to know our team and who's behind the scenes and things like that. So it wasn't necessarily like a sales thing, but it was like, oh, this is really fun. And then people saw what every one of us looked like as a Muppet, and that was super kind of weird, but funny and memorable. And so it was just one TikTok trend that took me 10 minutes to do, and it was a great piece of content.
Yeah, and little things like that, because Mark mentioned to me once his favorite Christmas album was The Muppets Christmas, not the Christmas Carol, the original special, and I never forgot it, and now I always
Yeah.
associate him with the Muppets, and he's probably like, I made one dumb comment about the Muppets, and now you have to bring him up to me every time.
It's fine. It's fine.
So those things can really help showcase your personality and kind of bring people to you. My favorite trend recently was the suspect is where people are running and then their partner is like describing them as if they were a suspect, like fleeing the scene. It's hard to describe, but
So
I thought it was
funny.
so funny.
And that can be used for our businesses, right? So like it's showing, and this is totally not like a sales piece of content, but it's like, oh, this was really funny. I remember the suspect and he was doing this and that. And like maybe they're running around the venue or maybe they're running around your office if you have an office space. And yeah, it's really
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, and they could say the suspect thinks red velvet is a proper wedding flavored cake. You know, wedding cake, like
Right.
you can relate it. And so taking
Yes.
these things that you don't think can relate, but stopping and go, wait, how can I do this? How can I
Yeah.
apply this?
Yeah. I love that. And a good content strategist like yourself, I'm sure can help people.
Yes, absolutely. So, somebody who's willing to start trying ads, where would you recommend they go first, or is that really too personalized for each business to answer?
I think if you want to start trying ads, you want to DIY it, I would honestly recommend you spend a lot of time on YouTube. Um, the one of the biggest reasons why ads fail isn't always like that you don't have content or a good offer, but the other reason is that you don't understand the ad platforms in depth. And all of the ad platforms, no matter what, TikTok, Meta, Google, they are pushing AI and pushing automation, which for large businesses actually can be really helpful. For small businesses, they're only spending like $16 a day or a really small budget that these algorithms and the AI don't know your business and they don't actually do the right thing just yet. So learning about the ad platform, and if you're creating an ad in Meta and you're looking at all the settings, you're like, I don't know what this setting is, but it recommended this to me. Actually, don't just accept the recommendation. Go to YouTube and find out what that setting is. Make sure you understand the implications of it because most of the time it's for a larger company that has a large budget and isn't going to be right for the wedding industry.
How can somebody tell when they're ready to invest in an ad strategy?
If you have reached the limit of the number of referrals you can get from your referral partners, if you have no more time to to
Check.
nurture new referrals or things, right? You it's basically an issue of trading money for time. You put money in, you get leads. The more money you put in, the more leads you get. And so I think for most businesses, the wedding industry, if you have more referral partners to nurture, or you can spend more time like out in the street knocking on doors, then like that's actually going to be better for you than like starting and throwing a bunch of money at ads because those are typically warmer leads where produce ads reach a cold audience and turning them into a warm lead, it takes time. But if you've reached the end of your referrals and you want to grow your business more and you want to grow your business faster, then advertising is right for you.
We have a multitude of listeners to the show, meaning we have people who are doing it entirely on their own. We have people who are brand new. We're people who are seasoned venues with teams. So we have a lot of different people listening. So I'm wondering if you could share for those who maybe are doing it kind of on their own, they're solo, what is the minimum monthly investment they should be prepared for if they wanted to start pursuing ads?
Yeah, I would recommend to do it right and to make sure that you get results as quick as possible, that you spend about $1,000 per month total, and that you run Google ads because those brides and couples are searching on Google for you. and they're going to discover you for the first time on Google. They may not click and convert right away because they're looking at 5 different vendors at the same time on Google, and that's okay. But if they see you again on Facebook and Instagram, or they see you again on TikTok because you're spending another chunk of money over there, they're going to remember you. Loop in that wonderful irresistible offer. They see your offer on Google, they see your offer on Instagram, they see your offer on TikTok. And then, listen, if you're not the business for them, that's fine. But there's going to be a lot of people who you are going to be a very viable candidate for them. And seeing you in multiple places multiple times takes a little bit of money. And I know that $1,000 a month is a shocking amount of money for some people. And if it is, that's okay, because we are all in different places in our journey in our business. But don't spend $200 on ads, run it for 6 months and be like, it didn't work. I didn't get anything. I hate to say it this way, but it's like, it's your fault because you didn't meet the needs of how couples shop for businesses and for their wedding.
Do you think it's better to do then more ad spend in one place as opposed to, let's say if somebody's not ready to invest up to 1,000, are they better off doing the 500 they can do in just Google, or, trying to split up the ad spend they have?
Split it up, because again, if you just spend all the 500 on Google, a bunch of people are going to click on your ads and they're going to get to your website. You might get 1 or 2 leads, but you're not going to get any lead volume that's like, this is worth my $500 a month, because people just don't shop like that. When I can't think of an example, like, okay, when I bought a couch, like I didn't just go to Google and type in like furniture store and then click on the ad and then go to the website and buy the couch. I did a lot of work. That was a lot of Googling, and I clicked on a lot of stuff on Google. And to think that a couple is going to do that and have such a perfectly linear journey is unreasonable. And you will be frustrated if you don't spend the right amount of money and if you're not seen in multiple places multiple times.
Is there a formula of like this percentage on Google, this percentage on Meta, this percentage on TikTok?
I love this question. It's really it's kind of complicated, and probably we need 2 hours to get into the details of it. But like on Google, if you spend that $500, you pick a radius around your business, or you pick a geographic area. If you pick too big of an area, you're going to reach too many people who are searching. So it's going to spend all your money, and like you're not going to reach everyone. If you pick a smaller area, you're going to saturate it. And so you want to like pick a smaller geographic area for that $1,000 a month and put it the same geographic area on Google as you are on Meta. Because if you have this like same thing as you have this giant audience on Meta, say you want to reach every engaged woman within a 50-mile radius of Toledo, Ohio. Well, that might actually be like 20,000 people. And if you're only spending $500 a month, they're only going to see your ad once. And so you really need to narrow that down to about like 8, 9, 10,000 people.
And what happens to be on Long Island? If you do like 50 miles and you're in like Connecticut, you're across the water, like, where it's like you're not getting people who are relevant to your area. So it sounds like it's small being like 50 miles, but it's really much larger than you think.
This is why it's so contextual, and really, it's kind of hard to answer that. It's a super great question. It's kind of hard to answer it, but it really comes down to like, how big is your audience? And you cannot reach thousands and thousands and thousands of people if you're only spending $500 a month. You have to be conscious of that, and you want to make it smaller in the beginning with that budget.
Can you tell me a bit of what your packages are like from an entry level to kind of a full service level?
For our services?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We actually do. When we take on working with someone, we actually do everything for them. So we kind of go into this relationship like, hey, we want to be your partner in advertising, and whatever you need, whether it's Google and Meta, Google and TikTok, all three, whether you need a landing page built or whatever, we sort of like just come alongside you and make you our best friend. And our packages range from starting at $900 a month up to $1,500 a month. And so there's a couple of variations in there, like someone may need a little bit more consultation, or maybe they need help with creating things or creatives and things like that. But so we try to make it as reasonable as possible. But in our world, it's an all-in thing or nothing, because I don't believe that, again, like charging someone $200 a month and they spend $500 on Google, but they didn't get any leads because they weren't seen in multiple places multiple times. That isn't the right thing. So I don't want to be in business doing that. I want to like take on people and love them to pieces and get them out everywhere.
And I think that's where the word of the day, strategy, comes in,
Yeah.
and why I really want to express the value behind this, because like we say, it is a large amount of money when you're having ad spend of, let's say up
Yeah.
to 1,000, and then the real key component, though, guys, is having the strategist behind it who's going to make that money work for you. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, if you're just doing it yourself and you don't know what you're doing, that thousand
Yeah.
dollars isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a really important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, really the two options are like DIY it or hire an agency. And this is not me being salesy. But there's another scenario in there that happens all the time is people hire a local agent, a local advertising agency who may actually know their area really well. Let's use Toledo. Maybe they're like Toledo's best ad agency, and you're like, oh, these people are great with ads. But they don't understand couples in the wedding industry. And I'm so, so, so proud of what we've built at the I Do Society because the wedding industry is all that we do. We study what couples do online when they click ads and we don't like do plumbers and other types of businesses where we're figuring it out. So I think really the options for people are like take the time to DIY it, and that's okay because we all are in that place, or hire a specific industry specific agency so that that strategy can be executed from day one.
Yeah, I have what I consider, I mean, a horror story is a bit dramatic, but just when I was working with a group of venues, they had several different venues, each had their own sales team and so forth, and the local ads agency just had one landing page with a contact form that didn't even say which venue the couple was inquiring for. And they
Ugh,
were like, well, you
yeah,
can just ask. And it was like, but we don't know who's asking it because we don't know what venue it is,
yeah,
So it's like when you have someone who, one, doesn't know your workflow and
yeah.
processes, and two, doesn't even respect it. Because then I had to really really argue as to why we needed the leads to go to the proper venues. It's just going to add a lot more
And
work
you
and time.
shouldn't have to argue.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
this
that
is, and
was.
I don't mean any disrespect for local agencies because they do a lot of good stuff for a lot of people. I think it's just in the wedding industry, it's such a unique industry
Yeah,
that,
so, and really what that means is it doesn't mean not to go local, but it just means to have that proper onboarding, right?
yeah.
And to make sure you articulate your individual needs as a wedding business, because it is really different than a lot of other businesses.
And don't let other people learn on your dime because that
Yes.
just your $1,000 is a lot of money already. And if they don't know how to spend it and you're 3 months in and then you paid them money on top of that, like you're out half, 500, $5,000 and like you're angry because that's a lot of money.
It's interesting because, like, I'll use my siblings as an example. And if I'm going to ask one of my siblings, say, hey, we're having a party, go and get the food and decorations, right? There's one sibling I'm going to trust with my credit card to do that. And
Ugh.
there's another sibling I'm not going to trust with my credit card to do that, So you're trusting somebody with your money. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure that
Yeah.
they're using it properly.
And siblings, if you're listening, she loves you both
Yes.
just the same. You have
I bet they can guess.
different qualities.
I bet they'll know who.
That's funny.
So, Mark, the next two questions are about you as a business owner, because here on the podcast, myself and the listeners, we're
Yeah.
just, geeks for this sort of stuff. So, what is your morning routine?
Oh my gosh. I have a very interesting morning routine because I love snowboarding and what I do. I actually get up and in the winter, I snowboard in the mornings before I start working. Or in the springtime, like there's a lot of hiking where I live. So I go out and have a hike. And I just spend some time in nature because to me, that is what keeps me grounded and sane is I do a lot. And actually, of course, I love what I do, but a lot of my time, of course, is spent like answering questions, thinking deeply and like staring at a screen. So I need my mother nature time.
Now, as somebody who knows nothing about snowboarding, like to me, that sounds like intense. Like you got to get like equipment or at least a
Yeah.
board, and then you got to find a spot to do it. Like, how long between waking up and actually getting to snowboard does that take?
I live right at the mountain, and so it is literally it's about 20 minutes before I'm like on my board going down a hill.
All right, all right.
It's a
That's pretty
purposeful
awesome.
life choice. That there's
Yes.
there's like it's just amazingly it's a small town. There's like 5,000 people here, so there's like a lot of bad things to it, but like we don't have McDonald's or Target or stuff like that. But anyway, my morning routine of Mother Nature is worth it.
Yeah, yeah, I like the
Yeah.
Mark Chapman and the Purposeful Life. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
something you should work
It's a
on.
great book title. Yeah.
Now, as an educator in the industry, how do you maintain your own education?
Oh my gosh, there's two parts to it, right? Because there's like the wedding industry and there's advertising. There's an organization called PPC Hero, Paid Per Click Hero, and they put on a hero conference twice a year. Once a year it's in London, the other half of the year it's in San Diego. So we go to that as a team because we want to find out like, hey, what is Google doing? Like, what is Meta doing with their ad platform? So we get to absorb all that. And there's a lot of people on LinkedIn we're connected to that are super nerdy about ads that we keep updated with. Then the other part of it is like going to industry conferences. Like obviously Wedding MBA is a huge
Mm.
one. There's a ton of smaller conferences that I absolutely love because those provide a lot of interaction for me and hearing like what's going on in the industry, what's going on with different types of businesses. So really being involved in both of those worlds is how we make sure that we're at the top of our game.
Will you be at Wedding MBA this year?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Absolutely.
great. So, guys, make sure you look for Mark there. You'll be speaking?
Definitely speaking, and we've got a big booth.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Oh, so
I'm
visit Mark,
excited.
tell him your favorite Muppet movie when you see him.
Please do. Tell me which, if you were a Muppet character, who would you be and why?
Oh my gosh. Mark, have you ever seen, I can't believe I'm asking you this on the podcast. Have you ever seen Follow That Bird?
I have not.
It is the
Oh
Sesame
no.
Street movie that was like released to
Oh,
theaters in the 80s.
yeah.
Highly recommend you check it out. You'll be really
Yeah.
happy you did.
I'm not above that. That's
Yeah,
cool. I love
it's
it. Maybe I'll watch it in Spanish to learn Spanish, right?
there
Because
you
it's
go. Yeah, it's a hidden gem. It is a
that's
hidden
cool.
gem.
Thanks for that nugget.
Yeah, yeah. So, Mark, where can everybody find you online and keep in touch with you?
Visit our website, which is theidosociety.com, and that has our contact information, our social links, and things like that. All of our profiles are at the I Do Society on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere else, YouTube. But that's where we're at.
Great. And I will put them in the show notes for easy access for you all. Mark, thanks so much for being here.
It was such a pleasure, Nina. Thank you so much for letting me know.